see your sheet real quick. No, we just want to make sure they see that reserved seats over there.
Anybody who's here speaking on the panel, these reserved seats are for y'all, so if you want to guest speakers, please take one of these seats reserved. Stay on.
All right, Mimi, it's all on you. Yep.
Cool. Crack this open just a little bit. Come on in. You can bring food.
20, 30 minutes of footage, but I'm going to leave out. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll leave the door open during the panel. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hi. My name's Mimi Luce. I'm head of program production here. I want to welcome you all to the Institute for Contemporary Art at Virginia Commonwealth University. We are a non-collecting institution devoted to showcasing exciting and thought-provoking art forms of all kinds. In addition to exhibitions, the ICA and our Community Media Center host performances, workshops, films, and lectures year-round for the community, and most of these are free. We also partner to host events with mission-aligned organizations who are engaging and educating our community in Richmond. And the ICA is thrilled to be one of the partners hosting the Charge Up Festival this week. This event is all about energy, creative energy, and tonight's focus is all about how music can be healing energy for communities and individuals. Before I pass the mic to Noah O, I wanted to let everyone know that the doors to the auditorium can stay cracked during this presentation to allow folks to come in and out on the first floor. There are restrooms on this level and the lower level. And as with everywhere else in Richmond, we are still under a boil water advisory, so please do not use the water fountains or sinks. We have bottled water on site and hand sanitizer in the restrooms. And I'm really excited to see this panel, and Noah O, over to you.
Check, check, check. How's everybody feeling tonight? Well, so last year at the Charged Up Festival, we did an evening of panels at the Black History Museum. Last year, the focus, really the vision was to put together a panel of people that had ties to Richmond, ties to Virginia, and these people had various levels of success in the music game. I think what I set out to do with that panel was a lot of times people who grow up in smaller markets or an area like this feels like there's no help or there's no opportunity. So I wanted to change that narrative and really show people that these are people from your community. We had June Jones from Atlanta Records. We had Kasim Peterson, who has worked for, he works for Dream Chasers now, but he started off with Maybach Music, then he's at Rock Nation, now he's at Dream Chasers. So in addition to them, we had Bink. Bink is a multi-platinum producer from Norfolk, Virginia. So the whole goal of that was, don't say, if you think it can't be done, here's living proof. If you think these people are only on the internet, these are real people you might bump into at Kroger. So just to show people the reality. In addition to that, you know, in the year that's passed from last year's festival to this, after the festival, or let me say this, does anybody know we have a store? All right. Store has been open 3 years now. In that time, the store is really has grown to be much more than a retail boutique. The store is really a hub, It's a meeting place for creatives. It's a place of networking. It's a place where we help to give upcoming artists a spotlight, a chance to incubate and really grow their talent. But in addition to that, it's become a community center inadvertently. We give away food, we get donations from the community, and what we've been able to do is come up with a model that not only we're able to direct the community to resources and incentivize that by giving you a discount when you bring donations into the store, we really become like a resource center where people come, whether they need housing, whether they need like help, mental health, whether they need to get help and go into recovery to be free from like substance abuse. So it's really about more for us with Charged Up, more than just entertainment. It's really about how can we use this, our company, how can we use what we're building to really, help our community. So in that time, we knew we wanted to do another panel this year. And in that year that we had the festival till now, I actually set foot and stepped into the behavioral health field. So like some people don't know because I don't post it, but I'm really, aside from the music, I'm a counselor. But none of this would have happened if it wasn't for me being a rapper first. None of this would have happened if it wasn't for the store and meeting other people in this field. So that's what the focus of this is. We hear a lot of times in the culture, like somebody gets killed, it's like, oh, rapper dies. A young person does some crazy crime, and it's like, rapper does this. But it's like, now what could we do? What could we, what's a conversation we can have to kind of dissect these things and just see what we can do to provide solutions? So, Aunt Marshall, you want to say something? That's it? All right, I'm going to turn the mic over to our host, Mr. Micah Bam Bam White.
Word. First of all, big ups to Noah and Ant for having such a thing. I know a lot of y'all that know me, like what in the hell is the comedian doing hosting the hip-hop panel? A lot of people don't know hip-hop was first in my life. It was the first thing I ever did, first thing I ever stepped on stage and did as a kid. Then when it came to comedy, I realized when the check came, I got to keep the whole thing by myself. So I said, to hell with everything else. But it's cool to be here in this space. We got three different panels that we're going to bring up, chop it up, and really talk about some issues. And I'm asking all panelists, don't be surface. Really dig in. I think it's some information that can be shared through our experiences that might be able to touch somebody, help somebody, whether they've been in the game for 20, 30 years or whether they just started this morning. So we're going to get started with this first particular panel. When I call your name, just ask you to come up, pop a squat. We're going to get this thing rolling. The first panel is going to be Beats, Bars, and Behavioral Health, Destigmatizing Mental Health in Hip-Hop Culture. Please welcome Sincere Allah, Chuck Creekmur, and my homie and my sister, Zenobia Z. Bay.
We get y'all to sit like close to your name as possible. Oh, okay.
They fancy with it. I dig it. So we're going to start. The way I want to do this is because we want to get through all three. We want to make sure the last question that's asked, everybody has that level of attention that's just as much as the first. So I'm only going to ask each of you one particular question that I would ask you. And while I might ask these questions, if something is said that organically kind of pops off, I really, really want to get to that, the authentic, organic conversation. I'm going to start with my sister, Z-Bay. You are in mental health. When I first met you was through Tuesday Verses, doing what you do, and you would always prelude, or often you would prelude with what you're doing for the streets, right? When you think about hip-hop, you think about the words, and this is probably one of the hottest topics. What do you think, good and bad, lyrics in hip-hop has contributed to the mental health of the communities that it speak to and speak about?
Well, first of all, peace to everybody. Charged Up Fest, thanks for having me. The good is it's a space for creative expression. That's the good thing. Regardless of what somebody's going through, what they've been through, hip hop, music, any way of expression is a good thing. unfortunately, sometimes it's a bad thing when sometimes people allow it to influence them. I don't like to say it influences because you can't blame the artist, right? I think it just takes a certain individual that's listening to the music or listening to whatever they're listening to, and if they allow the music to influence them or the lyrics to influence them, that could be it could be a bad thing. But just having the platform to express is a good thing. And there's so many different platforms, whether it's from verbal expression to spoken word to MCing, whether it's to DJing, whether it's through the business management. That's also a part of expression. That could be a good thing. So just being in the scene of hip hop, it can contribute to a good part of mental health, because now you're actually getting off some type of emotion and some type of behavior that's in a good, positive space. Yeah.
So stick right there real quick. So with the work that you do in the community, from the negative aspect that lyrics can do to our community, how do you play a role as a hip hop artist? How do you play a role making sure you balance it in the kids' minds that you work with?
Processing, just really taking time and having space to process those emotions and those lyrics or those behaviors that may come from that hip hop scene or that mental health emotion that they may be going through. And then sometimes just letting people know it may be just a time period. Life happens, has ebb and flows, but not allowing that to stay stuck. And then sometimes utilizing the frequency of the music, not just staying with the beat, but just understanding the frequency of the different hertz in the music and how that can elevate, mentally. Your emotions.
Because even when you bring that up, there's probably a lot of people don't even understand the infection that a frequency can have, and the industry understands it. That's why they make certain things at certain frequency levels. Chuck, so therapy, right? We black folk. Therapy, come on, man, we don't do that, right? But it's such a necessary thing to get somebody to help you work through the things that you can't work through on your own. How do you think hip-hop can lend a helping hand, can add a nudge to make it cool to go to therapy, but not just go to therapy, but be able to face yourself when you deal with the things that you're going to find out through therapy? How can hip-hop play a role in making that cool?
That's a good question. I'm not sure what the correct answer is, but I think that therapy exists in different forms. It doesn't only exist in you going into a room with a person who you pay that gives you good advice about how to move forward in your own life. I think therapy can be listening to a song that relaxes you and allows you to process things before you do something stupid, right? And that's basically what hip hop was for me. I lost my dad as a teenager, and I was full of rage and anger. And my mom actually gave my brother the opportunity to go to therapy because he was younger than me, but never presented me with that option. I don't know why exactly, but she may have thought I was older, or not sure. Really, I'm not actually sure. But I don't know what I would have done with that. My brother said, no, I don't even want to relive this, losing our father. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. So the way at least for me, I can't necessarily speak for my brother, but I think that we were all young and we were all moving in a similar path. And so hip hop for me was a saving grace of expression. Like she mentioned, I used to rap real heavy, and I used to allow the anger to come out through the lyrics and to some extent some of the thoughts that I was going through, some of the feelings and emotions that I was going through. So I think that hip hop is like your own brain. We only use a very small piece of it. Right. We take hip hop and condense it to like two things, three things, right. Maybe five,
right.
Maybe, and now it's probably down to one. So I think hip hop can be extremely powerful, but I think that we constrict it, and I think society intentionally has limited what it's capable of.
So this is going to be on the spot question, just from what you said. When we were coming up, I'll be 50 in September, so I'm going to get my age. When we were coming up, murder hip hop wasn't what we listened to most of the time. You know, it actually got nasty before it became murderous. It went to 2 Live Crew before it even became Bang Bang Shoot 'Em Up on a grand scale, right?
Right.
But there were songs like Self Destruction
Absolutely.
that was cool, could be played on the radio. Do you think that we're in a time where a song like that could come out today and it would be accepted the way that it was accepted when it came out when we were young?
Well, I'd say no. I think that it was, hip hop was in its infancy then. It also was not co-opted then either. So it was black people or black and brown people creating freely without interference. And then interference, right? And then it started getting into money where big bags get dropped on you, and then we want this. We don't, put that over there. You know what I mean? And that's so the short answer is probably not, because we've now been conditioned and programmed to only want to hear it this way. Or we were talking about educated rappers and how that was actually a real thing, and now you really can't even be educated. Like Kodak Black is more revered than Black Thought. How? Like, it's weird.
Yeah, that's
right?
wild. That's
So,
wild and real, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I need to write that down. I like that. I like that. But so I was telling my brother AD, and I was like, when I moved to New York, I didn't tell people I went to college. I didn't tell them I didn't. I just came with the work. I did the work, and the work stood up. But later down the line, people assumed I didn't learn this skill of journalism by going to college, which I did. And I learned hip hop more holistic way, but I didn't learn hip hop by going in a classroom. I learned that by living it. But I learned journalism like this. All hip hop doesn't exist by accident, or we were just unskilled workers that stumbled into journalism. No, I operate at a high level because of my training and my skill. And I know I may be off a little bit.
No, I'm with you.
Right.
I'm following you.
But hip hop is a very high level skill, and I think that they've dumbed it down so that it can only it can fit in a small box that can be controlled very easily through drugs, sex, alcohol, and money.
Right, and money, and whatever it takes to get the paper, whether it's moral or immoral.
And I want to say one more thing. By the way, I don't want to, I want to make this clear. I did go to therapy and counseling myself. I did do that. And I did that for years because I did have that unresolved anger that I tried to hide and, get money or get married or have a baby and all the things I thought were going to contribute to making me happy. And it didn't work, And so I just want to make that clear. I did do that work, and I still do that work, So it's not something that I ever run away from or shy away from.
Now, it's something to stick your chest out about, because that's a strong thing to be able to do something to look at self. And when you start to really look at self, normally people in therapy, they'll run away. But if you can stick with it, you got to be pretty strong and thorough to be able to do that. Sincere. So hip hop, right? It's words, it's beats. We glamorize the ignorant in a lot of different ways, but we pretend like it really don't have an effect. Like my daughter, for example, this is not necessarily hip hop, but my daughter, she used to love Atlanta Housewives of this and Housewives of that. And I said, baby girl, you got to watch what you're putting in your head. Well, it's just entertainment, but they don't understand that the entertainment has an effect on their psyche. Speak to what you think, why you think, and this might be something that's general, everybody already know, but why you think they continue to even more so glamorize that, and how do you balance that with kids in the hood or even adults in the hood to help them see the reality of what's going on through the music they letting get out? Because we know it's more than what's getting out, but what's getting out, for the most part, is not what's best for our mental or our communities. How do you help people see what the reality is, and how would you help them get through it?
That's a deep question. So, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be here. Secondly, to answer your question, there's no form of entertainment, there's no genre of music that has had a greater impact globally than hip hop. for the era of hip hop that was the positivity, the education, telling stories. That was seen by the powers that be as a threat. Hence the reason hip hop transitioned. For those that were in power at the time, hip hop transitioned in the way it did. That led us down drinking, shooting, oversexing or sexualizing situations. The things that we dealt with in our communities, teen pregnancy prevention, gun violence, these things that plagued our communities, the crack epidemic, it was glamorized. These things that were destructive to us began to be something that was glamorized in the culture as a result of one idea, one philosophy saying that, well, we don't necessarily have to go into these communities and do harm. We can allow them to do harm to themselves if we are able to control what they see, hear, and think. Right. So hip hop became something larger than just something we dance to, that we listen to, that it's something that feeds our souls, our spirits. Music has always been that in our communities. When I say our, I mean the melanated community specifically. Not saying it doesn't touch all communities, but it's something that is in our souls, in our spirits. When you listen to the old Negro hymns and spirituals, when you listen to what they called slave music, a lot of the songs that they used to sing in the fields were songs about escape. But this missed the ears of the oppressor, but we felt it, we understood it, and understanding the history of music and the concept of where these things come from, then you know the impact that it can have positively and adversely on any community. Doesn't matter whether it's white, black, poor, rich. Like hip hop has transitioned so many times that even defining it now is difficult. Mm-hmm. The 5 elements of hip hop have changed. Right. They're still like for some. To me, the 5 elements of hip hop still exist. They are what they are. Mm-hmm. That's the foundation of what hip hop is. However, generationally, these things changed. What meant something to me may not mean lyrics and lyricism may have meant something to me. To this generation, it may not mean as much. The beats may mean something. Who it is, what you see in the video, these things, the aesthetics of certain aspects of our lifestyle that are glamorized means something. So, in striving to take that back, it's important that we're not in front of the camera, but behind. Right. Not the person signing deals, but the person giving the deal out. Right. See, these are things that no one thought of during the infancy of hip hop, because we were doing things out of the love and out of for the culture. It was like, oh, I want to sign this deal because my music is going to get out there, and then not thinking about the other side, the business side, or the bigger picture.
Let me ask you this, and then in conjunction with that, then, should we blame the artist that knows exactly what you just said, that understands the impact that it has on our community? There's some artists in here right now. They know what you're putting down, they pick it up because they know it's real, but they still go out and do exactly what you're saying. I'm not gonna say we shouldn't do, but they're doing exactly what they know is gonna have this negative impact on our own communities. But they chasing that bag. So could we hold them accountable, or do we just gotta say it's just part of what it is? Like, how do we speak to them, that person, not the one doing the deal, but the person that's doing the work, putting the words on the paper?
So I'm sure all of us have seen maybe have seen the artist D1, who has charged individuals in the culture with doing exactly that. Those that know exactly what the system is, what it's doing, what the labels want, what's making the money, and they're like, all right, I know this is wrong, but I'm going to do this anyway. So yes, there has to be accountability from the artists that do know, because not every artist knows, not every artist understands, not every artist cares. So yes, accountability has to come from the artist, but also the individuals who this is impacting. We can't just put all of our ills and all of our issues on hip hop, all of our issues on entertainment. Like your home, it begins at home. Like I remember when Eminem was having, all the backlash because of his music, and especially as a white artist that was getting big buzz all over the country and then all over the world. At one point, it was hard for him to live down some of those lyrics and some of the things that he was talking about in his music. And same thing that happened with Luke and all that. Like these are things that they're living and they've experienced. And then when your child that doesn't understand goes out and reacts to what he's hearing and what he's seeing, or what she is hearing and what she is seeing, then that doesn't necessarily fall all the way on the artist. Right. Because if you're at home as a parent, you are in control of what your child sees, hears, listens to, how at least you should be. Right. So we can't put the onus just on our school systems or on the communities or on an artist.
Love it. Real quick, just any final word. This has been good. Any final word you want to give about hip hop and how it's infecting, or how the effect of hip hop is having on our communities and what we can do to make it better?
I think the biggest thing is just having education and self-awareness. If you have an education of what is going on around you, what is going on in the community, you know how to contribute, right? But then also having a self-awareness of, like the brother said, when you need to go to therapy yourself. I think it's very, very important for people that's out in the community that's actually doing the work, like myself. I've taken the time to go to therapy myself, address some unresolved trauma, address some grief that was there, and also understanding how that was impacting my relationships and community. So when we don't do that work, we see a mirror right in our face of how these things are affecting our relationships, or how it's impacting our business, or how it's impacting our dreams or visions, or how we may want to move, whether it's in the hip-hop industry or just you want to be a city Richmond worker. So if your mental is not addressed and we don't go and get to those underlying issues, we're going to see constant things that's impacting our community.
Go get it fixed.
I like to really tell people to look at the hidden hand, and the hidden hand most obviously now is the algorithm, right? Or it's the tech bros or the tech mavens or the people who don't have to show their face anymore. A lot of people like to call out culture vultures, but I think it's changed a lot recently where, for example, I feel like AllHipHop being a black-owned platform has had been impacted more adversely than others, right? Because we do culture, we don't chase clicks, we don't chase the algorithm per se. Obviously, we all play the game a little. But when you're talking about your mental health and you're talking about your children, I think you have to be aware of what they're going to continue to be slammed with over and over and over. Back in the day, you could have an NWA because you had a Tribe Called Quest too, or you had Moni Love and Queen Latifah, or there was a tremendous amount of balance. And now there is balance, right? But you might not know it because the algorithms
It's not fed the same,
not
right?
feed you.
Right.
So I just really want people to understand that the subversive nature of the attack on us is really very profound, but it's also targeting our youth most often.
Well, yeah, if you get them before they can think for themselves, it's hard for when that brain catches up for them to have that power that they're capable of having. So that's why they get them young, right?
Definitely.
That's why it's by design.
Yeah. Any final words, Sincere?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. So just a little backstory. I went to prison at 18 years old, and I was pardoned by the governor of Virginia in 2022 after serving 24 years in prison. So hip-hop contributed to my life early on. My father was a DJ, so like hip-hop I fell in love with hip-hop very early on. And the influence and the protection of my mental health, I relied heavily on hip-hop, music. Music was my saving grace while incarcerated. It's what kept me from, venturing off mentally. It's what kept me steadfast in my focus and securing my release. It's what kept me pursuing my own personal growth and development, and then wanting to see others not go down the same path that I went down. So becoming a peer recovery and support specialist and doing direct service work, and then being pardoned in 2022 and coming out and doing that same thing stems from the impact that hip hop, music in general, but hip hop had on my life, and me being able to process things differently. As an adolescent, we know and understand that when you look at someone that's 18, 19, I was 18 years old, 4 months after my 18th birthday. So when you look at an individual like that, that's that age, you don't look at him or her and see maturity and see growth. You can see there's been growth from early childhood, and there's been some development, but for the most part, growth begins, or real growth is seen once you're like 25 and 30 and you start to experience more things, and from your experiences you learn more things. So and then you take those lessons and you build on or expound on those. So for me, it's one of those things that I can see the impact of on both sides of hip hop on a young mind and an impressionable mind, and then moving forward as you get older, you understand that some of this is just acting, some of this is just for show, it's just for views and likes, and as they say nowadays, we didn't have that back then, but now it's views and likes. So yeah, that's for me. Understanding the difference between that is very important, and oftentimes it doesn't have to come with age. You can learn these things if you have a proper teacher. You can learn these things at home before you get caught up in it.
Dig it. Ladies and gentlemen, sincere Chuck, Z-Bay, let him hear. Appreciate y'all. All right, we're going to keep this thing moving, crack-a-lacking. From the Cypher to the clinic, building community wellness through hip-hop. Please help me welcome Aunt Marshall, Mad Skillz, and Noah O.
One, two, one, two. What's up, Richmond?
Check.
What up?
Hello.
That's what's up. So let's get this thing moving. I'm gonna start with you, Skillz, the homie. I've been knowing Skillz for 20-something years. I telling the other day, first script I ever got for a movie, Skillz wrote the movie. I got the script. I was playing one of the lead characters. I don't know when the hell we're gonna shoot that movie, but I got the script like 25 years ago. One day we're gonna do that movie. But that being said, Skillz, how can grassroots hip-hop events be used to foster healing and build trust in our communities? Like when you think about Richmond, you think about the demographics of Richmond. How can what all of you do be used to contribute to trust in our communities with one another? Not so much with the government, but just with each other.
I think the camaraderie between everybody is not a big community, you know what I'm saying? So I think if we show up for each other in ways that, put out a mode of support and just be there for each other when we can, you know what I mean? I feel like that is something that can help everybody. I feel like if you see somebody or you know somebody that's trying to get into something or doing something, you have the means to help them, you know what I mean, extend that hand, because this Richmond RVA hip hop community, like I didn't remember when it wasn't one. You know what I mean? It was just we were running into people from South Side, North Side that might rap, might flow, but there was no community. And second of all, there was nowhere to go to even do that. You know what I'm saying? So imagine going to a party. Imagine me and Noah meet at a party. Like somebody got a party at VCU, the Qs or the Alphas or whatever. And me and Noah see each other and we just in the corner rapping to each other, to the beats that DJ Cool playing. That was the Richmond community, hip hop. That was it. Nobody heard it, but I just left there knowing he into the same thing that I'm into. So I think if we support each other in ways that go beyond, if you can extend your platforms and things of that nature, then I feel like people should do that, and it just helps everybody in the long run.
I think, to your point, even when I started in comedy, there were no comedy clubs. I started at a spot called Armani's. Actually, the first spot I did comedy was the Slip It Shaco. Yeah. So that's when I first did comedy. I went to Armani's, but there was no community, even as you think about entertainment. And the first place I started to win money doing comedy was at a joint that was hip hop heavy, The Boss, on Sunday nights.
Facts.
Yeah, I was doing comedy, but anyway, fast forward, I think Rap Elite has created a community within this community. And when you think about the trust, that shout out to the homie Radio B, I did Rap Elite 51 just so I can go and check that box, right? And you hear cats talking to each other like, nigga, I'll kill your mama, slap your daddy, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, there's gonna be beef after this is over with. Then you get in the group chat and you hear them bigging each other up for even what you said to me, right? So it just shows that it's a true community. We understand the art separate from the streets. How would you say, coming to you, Ant, how would you say when you think about back to this trust thing, building trust, and think about partners outside of just hip hop, how can the hip hop community partner up with partners like what Zebe does and other nonprofits and other entities like Boys and Girls Club? How can we create a better bridge to add to that trust and allow hip hop to be seen as medicine for the healing of our communities?
So the answer is simple, right? We have to be as creative as possible to figure out how we're going to get paid and still do the thing we love. If there is no longer a music industry, right? If that shit gone, if this is now a tech industry using your music to get data, what are you selling? Right? Who are your partners? That's what we're really trying to figure out here, right? Even when we talk about mental health, the whole culture is going through a mental health breakdown, but we don't call it that enough, right? So this year, right, while we kind of pushed the festival towards behavioral health, Noah was sharing earlier what he's into. I've also become a peer recovery specialist, by accident. Shout out to Maurice, right? It's like, it was like for years, and it's a full circle moment, by the way. Me and Skillz, Lyricist Lounge, New York, 94, hosted by Guru, is the first time I met Skillz and the first time I really even heard about Richmond. I didn't even know where the fuck you was talking about. Right?
That was my reality.
Yeah,
in
all
94.
the time. All the time. That must have fucked up your head, right? Like, goddamn, So the truth is, like, if you're an artist right now, trust me, I know what you're going through. You're not alone. A lot of us have been going through that. I'm not even an artist like that. I mean, this is my art. This is my canvas. But, like, for those of you that pick up the pen every day to do what you love, I know what you're going through, and the truth is, we all got to figure this shit out. So, yes, we got to partner with the Boys and Girls Club. We got to partner with the ICA, and you got to apply pressure. It's not like, hey, guys, we got this hip-hop thing. No, what the fuck? This shit would be empty if we not here. Right? This is the biggest export out of America right now culturally, hip-hop, right? So this is not about, hey, do you think it's cool if we can? No, man. Like, show up and show out.
Love that. Noah, first let me just give you just props and roses, right? First time I saw you, and for me, it's your growth and how you've used your influence, right? First time I saw you, we didn't even meet. I was performing at the Intercultural Festival at VCU, right here at VCU, and you went on right before me. Fuck my whole show up, right? Because You know, here it is, hip hop. You murdered it, you killed it. Then all of a sudden, be quiet and listen to comedy outside. Like I mean, I didn't bomb, but you put pressure. You applied pressure. Then I started to realize who you were in the community because of what other artists were saying when you weren't around, which was good stuff about you when you weren't around. Then I saw you at Virginia Randolph. I was speaking at Virginia Randolph. Then who was the other speaker that was speaking at Virginia Randolph? It was this brother. Then he started to share with me. He came up to me like, yo, Bam, I really want to do this. Like, I really want to figure out how can I be a voice for the community that I'm from. Now to know that you're doing counseling and things of that nature, you get it. And you're still true to what you are in hip-hop. You haven't lost that authenticity as to who you are in hip-hop. When you think about the anxiety that you had to deal with, the depression that put you in places that you didn't really want to be, you think about how you're trying to affect that in a positive way right now while still staying true. How do you create that balance, and what do you see as the one or two things that we as a community can do to help with this anxiety, this depression that our people are dealing with while staying true to who we really are, like you're doing?
I mean, so like you touch on a few things like me being authentic, you know, in my music as well as like in general. I think we need to tell each other the truth. And like what Ann just said, the truth is there ain't no money in this music shit. Not in this time. So they've convinced a whole generation of people and artists to chase after views and clicks, which they monetize. So let me show you like this. It's all of us in this room together, right? You can reach 10 people. You can reach 10 people. You have 10 people you can reach. And they've created this whole loop where instead of you building with your 10 people, say I'm the platform. I'm like, yeah, you know them 10 people, send them to me. Your 10 people, send them to me. Your 10 people, send them to me. Instead of you getting $1 from each of them people and getting $10, you just sent them to me, and I just gave y'all each a penny and took $1 from each of them. That's what's happening. And it's like, you have to know the reality of what you're in. This is what is going on in music. Not only in music, just in general. So instead of people talking to one another, building with one another, we're sending each other to somebody else. Because the resource ain't the music, the resource is us. That's the value. So like, for me, like this is not, and I think I spoke on it yesterday, this isn't Noah O's a rapper, then I do this community shit over here to take a picture. I've been doing community work, but I didn't know that's what I was doing. I'm just being a human. I live in this community. I'm going to help people. This is not like a photo op. This is us in this room, in reality, in the city where we all live. It's that simple. So like what I'm saying is that's all this is. But the disconnect, and it's playing out in the music every day, people are disconnected from one another. That's why it's easy to call somebody your op. That's why it's okay now for a kid who's 15 to put a laughing emoji when they hear another kid got killed. These are people, bro. This is somebody's niece, nephew, cousin, but people are disconnected.
And it's all trauma.
Yeah, it's this trauma circle.
Like when you was just talking about battle rap, and you was like, you know, you went to a battle and you hear a lot of rappers saying, I'm gonna do this to you, I'm gonna do it. We all know it's entertainment, whatever. You know what I've been noticing lately? I've been noticing lately rappers get in front of each other and talk about how much pain they went through. Like, so I'm literally in front of you rapping, and I'm going, I've been through more shit than you. I've been through more pain than you. So the gun bars don't even work no more. It's just, I've been through more pain than you. And you know what it is? Black men, you know what we do? We try to avoid our trauma by getting rich. Black men think that if we get rich, that's how we chase from the trauma. I wish every black man could get rich so he could realize that's not gonna change that shit. It's still gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like I move in a way now of everybody I run into, the first thing that I put in my mind is they going through something too. The girl at Starbucks at the window, she going through something too. You know what I'm saying? The dude at Chick-fil-A just said, my pleasure, he going through something too. So I might just say a quick something, or might just, I hope you have a wonderful day, man. Yo, where you get them shoes from, bro? Like, just to, because they don't hear that. So I operate in the space of now. Everybody probably going through something, so be a little kinder. You know what I'm saying? Or attempt to, because to watch these people go through these things, and they looking at that phone, and these kids are looking at it and they thinking, I don't have this, I don't have that. You know what I hate to see? I hate to see a motherfucker that get older but ain't growing up. I hate that. Cause I'm like, you wasting so much time. You know what I mean? And it ain't, you think you got more of it, but you really don't. You don't know, none of us know how much time we got.
Right. But when you don't face that trauma that you're really going through and stay in the victim mentality, then it's hard to grow. It's hard to get out of that.
It's hard, man. It's you gotta, like Chuck was saying and Sincere was saying, you gotta watch what you putting into your brain.
Right.
So even with the phone, like once I realized I do so much shit on here, I'm like, I write songs on here, I make money on here, I contact my family through. This is in my pocket and in my hand most of the day. I gotta clear up some of the shit that I'm looking at. So if it's on my phone and it pop up in my feed, if I ain't inspired, if it ain't funny, or it ain't giving me some knowledge or some I don't want to see it. So I started unfollowing and getting, bro, I don't know what Kanye West do unless that shit show up on the 6:30 news. I literally have blocked this man's name on all social media. And I did this 3 years ago.
Right.
Because I don't want to know. It ain't been that good in 3 years.
Not anti-Kanye. It's just
it's not anti-Kanye. It's just,
impact of the information.
I don't want to see this when I wake up in the morning. Right. So if Lester Holt ain't talking about him at 6:30 on NBC, I don't know what the hell he did.
Dig it.
Like going back, so like you mentioned, for those who don't know, Virginia Randolph is a high school in Henrico County. It's an alternative high school. And that's where, the last time we had seen each other, I really wanted to speak there because that's where I finished school at. Like when I moved here from California, I now as a grown man, I can look back on it. I was a troubled kid. I got expelled from school, sat at home for a year. Like Z-Bay was saying, I sat at home for a year, and I remember, like I grew up in a family, now I know what it was. Everybody around me was an addict. I grew up seeing going to the jail, going to the hospital because somebody shot up. Parents, I wake up at night, they're missing out the house. I grew up around all of this. And it's only, once I healed that I realized how abnormal my normal was. But long story short, I got expelled from school. I went to an alternative high school, and I was a teenage father. I had a child at 17. By the time I was 19, I had 2 kids. I actually paid child support in high school through the state of Virginia. Damn. Yeah. I'm not, I ain't gonna go into too many details, but yeah, I was up in court, like I didn't go to school because I would have to go to court. But I say all that to say is I really wanted the opportunity when I got up in front of those young people and said, I am you, I literally was them. In the office, they still got a picture of me on the wall. Like, it's still there. If you go to Virginia Randolph and go to the office, there's a picture of my graduating class, and I'm right there. But yeah, it's very important to me because my music is a reflection of my life. I've always been very transparent in my music. I'm not a persona. I'm not a character. I don't even have a rap name. My rap name is my name. So it's like, I don't struggle with that. I don't know what other rappers go through, but I'm not a creative player. Right. Noah is the same Noah that's down the block, same Noah that's sitting in here. but know what a rapper will smoke your boots off. But you know what I mean? There's not this tug of war or whatever that maybe some people deal with. So
dig it.
I want to add to just, telling our story a little bit. One thing, some young folks came up to me yesterday and they're like, can you give me some advice for like what I could do, And I was really like, get out your head, right? Say yes when people call you and show up. And like these three things really, like it's everything. So when we talk about building community and wellness, through the culture, that's really all I've done all my life. When we started Lyricist Lounge, I was 16. We really wanted it to be a nonprofit. We didn't even know what business was. We had a mentor. He trusted us with a small space. It was like, we don't use this space. If you want to use it, try to make something of it, go for it. And that's a big part of it, right? Like for all of the older heads that are here that are complaining about younger folks, my question is, what young folk are you behind, right? What are you doing? What young person have you put in the studio? Have you stayed up till 4 a.m. with them in the studio? Have you been to a studio? Right? So it really starts with us looking around next to us. And I see a lot of young folks in here, God bless them. You know what I mean? Like we talking about y'all, for y'all. And I don't even care. Y'all could be on your phone right now, all of that. You probably watch the video 6 months from now. But as long as you hear the message, like it's a very interesting time for the culture and for the people. These people not playing. We in Richmond, right? I don't got to tell y'all, I'm from New York. This is like the birthplace of a lot of bullshit, right?
Facts.
And these people trying to bring it back around, So I don't know, man. I could go on forever, but I think, again, we can build a lot of culture, or we can create a lot of wellness community through our culture. This is one of the most powerful cultures. I don't see rock heads doing this. I don't see the rock culture coming together, but like, hey man, we gotta deal with our, I don't see it. Not to say it doesn't happen, but like we really care about each other. So let's just keep this thing going. Utilize your platforms, utilize whatever you have going on to figure it out, because also there's some money in it. And you'll hear from some folks later that are involved in this. Behavioral health is a huge business. Richmond is a huge space for that. Recovery homes, you name it. So, this is not just about, giving back. Yeah, it's giving back, but now you can get paid for it and still do your music on the side because you love it.
And just in closing to your point, man, when you think about the youngins, it's young artists that I deal with. One particular young lady I'm dealing with, Skillz, met her. She's dope, great person, but it's also don't throw these young artists to the wolves for bullshit for your own personal bag of clout. Make sure you're introducing them to people that's going to really take care of them and going to show them the way. And in the grand scheme of things, really don't want anything from them. That particular young artist, her name is Amira, and I took her, she called me, she said, Mr. Micah, I'm going to meet this young man named Mr. Skillz. She called you Mr. Skillz. I'm going to meet Mr. Skillz. Do you know him? I said, yeah, I know Skillz. She said, well, I'm going, I don't know anything about him. I took her personally the very first time we went to chop it up, not because I didn't trust Skillz, because I needed her to trust him. And because she trusted me, she knew that, okay, this is a cool pass down. Spend time with these kids. And now she goes to the studio, they rock out, she'll call me, hey, me and Mrs. Skillz made this music. The last thing I'll say is staying true to just who you are all the way through. A lot of people know me, again, as a comedian. I do music, I got my own band. I do youth ministry at a church right down the street from Virginia Randolph called St. Peter, I'm sorry. I've been doing youth ministry for 8 years. I'm with the seminary, Virginia Union University. And people say, well, nigga, you still be cussing and shit. And I'm like, dude, God called me the way that I am, right? And maybe I'm the one that can reach some of these cats in a way that the person that pretend to be something that they're not can't reach them. So stay true and let God use you, and the results are gonna be God's results. That's the way I look at it. Yo, Skillz,
And
what you got?
That particular artist, man, when you brought her to the studio, we made a song that day.
We sure did.
You know what I'm saying? We wrote a song that day, and the song was crazy. And I automatically started thinking about the video for it. And she was like, she was like, Dad, yeah, we got to get this up. And she came back to the studio with her father. And I was like, she was like, yeah, I was thinking maybe like we could do this. And I was like, yeah, so let's just shoot the video. And she was like, how? And I was like, because I know people that just shoot videos. And what's so crazy is she don't even know this. So when she came to the studio, I asked her, I said, who do you see yourself like? And she was like, I said, what's your vibe? She said, like, kind of like Jill Scott, like Lauryn Hill, right? So the beat that we ended up doing the song over, I just flipped it in, like I looped it up. It was some AI shit, whatever. But she don't even know that I sent the beat to Jill Scott's producer, like, do this over. So when she get that beat back, it's actually gonna be produced by Dre and Vidal, and she don't even know that. She busy somewhere graduating high school.
Right, graduating
But I'm
tomorrow,
like,
Friday.
if I see artists and I see them pushing forward and trying to do something, and I can help, I always help. Like Zuri, I met Zuri at your spot. I seen Zuri online trying to DJ with like turntables. She was like, I'm doing this vinyl thing. I said, yo, you need another turntable. I said, I got one in my garage. And she kept texting me like, yo, can I get that turntable? Can I get that turntable? Then one day I said, yo, pull up, come get the turntable. I ain't using it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just those small things. And she been doing stuff in the park with the turntable. I didn't see it. I'm like, oh, she put that shit to use. That's what you have to do, empower people. And if you can't help them, then help them, man.
Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, Ant, Skillz, Noah. Appreciate y'all. That was good.
Check.
That was good.
Check.
Hey, turn number 7 up real quick. I feel like we're about to start a show. Number 7. Appreciate it.
So we're going to our last panel real quick. This panel basically is titled Rhymes and Recovery, Hip Hop as a Tool for Healing. Can I get, I know I'm gonna mess this up, Lilith Rose, A.D. Carson, and Maurice Morgan, the homie DJ Reese. What's up, Lilith? Hey, Ant, you left your phone. You got it, bro. So first of all, it's the final session. If a life hadn't been saved yet, it's up to y'all. So I'm gonna start with you, Lilith. Let's talk about your songwriting. Let's talk about how your process, but also, is it and how therapeutic is it when you write, and talk about how different emotions might make you dig into different things to write.
Sure. First, I'll say good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Lilith Rose, and you did not mess it up. But no, I think writing has been extremely therapeutic for me. I know typically, well, first off, I'll say it started out as writing poems. So if I'm feeling, whatever, feeling hurt, feeling angry, it can even be joy. It's just something that I like to get out. So I started just writing poetry and then putting it over beats, and then that eventually turned into music. But I'm also a therapist, mental health therapist, and I know that we a lot of times struggle with depression, anxiety. There's a lot of thoughts that tend to stay here and just kind of, rotate around our mind, and the only way to get through it is to get it out. A lot of times we try to repress things, or we try to just bury them, but nothing stays repressed. It's gonna come out in some way, maybe behaviorally, maybe self-medicating, but it comes out in some way. So expression has been the most healing tool, I think.
Love it. Okay, thank you. Reese, my man Reese.
What's up?
We go way back.
Way back.
Your journey got you to where you are. You speak freely about who you are, but just as importantly, who you also are becoming. How integral did music play a part in helping you get through the darkest time in your life for you to be where you are right now, doing the work that you do in the community as well as still in music?
Well, how y'all doing out there? Thanks to Noah for having us here. Can I get the mic up a little bit? The first person I need to thank as far as me and music is my mom. The music journal on Skillz album, you know, it spoke volumes to me because it spoke about that box at the house. Early on, I realized how music was attached to emotions. Hey, y'all, my mom used to have theme music, so if she was mad, it was the Superfly album. So I know, I think it was Pusha Man, so I know I could not ask for allowance if that Curtis Mayfield album was on. But I also knew when she played Herb Alpert Rise, you know, where the biggest sample come from, she was in a good mood, you know. So I connected with music in that manner where, you know, music connects to me like that now. And I'm able to connect with certain music and songs that relate to my mom and the relationship that we had, and it brings inspiration to me. You know, you may walk in the room and I'm got a tear in my eye because I'm thinking about a moment when me and my mom had, and that's healing to me. You know,
Right.
Cause she not here, y'all. You know, like you said, speak freely about my past. You know, I used to be out there in the red top, blue top era. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Y'all stop playing with me, man. So I was on the other side of that thing, you know. I got screwed up before New Jack City came out, before I knew what it was, you know, and I got caught up for quite a bit of time, you know. And listen, y'all, a lot of people say, you know, with the drugs, you had to be going through something. I wasn't going through nothing. To be real about it, I just like the way it made me feel. I mean, that's the realness of it. I came out of middle class America. My mom taught school. I come out of a great environment. I just got caught up. But music has always been a big part of my life. I can remember coming out of one of my modes when I was in a shelter. And I was coming out the shelter, and I called Lonnie B, and I said, hey, Lonnie, I need some records. You know, because again, the music, the hip-hop was the thing that you go back to, because I can't be DJ Reese and on drugs at the same time. It don't work. Right. So when you say, you know, what hip-hop meant to me, it gave me a place of solace, a place of connection with some of the MCs that's in here right now that's been on some of my projects. So it gave me a place of just normalcy. And Lonnie was like, records. She started laughing because I didn't know about Serrato. Serrato was out.
Right.
So he brought me over there over his mom's house and showed me that. So hip hop, music, jazz especially has always been close to my heart. And again, it really puts me in a good space and place where I can think clearly and not listen to some of the other hip-hop music or music that's out here that have you thinking negatively, that pushes the drugs, that pushes the sex, that pushes everything. I mean, Jesus Christ, when we were coming up, what was it, weed and
that was
and beer,
maybe weed. You know what I'm saying? Maybe
weed and 40s, right? It was 40 ounces. Weed and 40 ounces. Now it's like it's pills and everything. It's amazing. And for me to be in the field that I'm in the mental health field, I've been in it now 14 years. You know, I struggle with that. With addiction to drugs, like for 20 years, from 89 to 2009. Got myself together, went back to college. I'm a miracle, for real, y'all.
That's what's up.
Listen.
That's what's up.
I've been able to expand my company out to Georgia and now Texas. But again, to bring the hip-hop thing back, you know, I've done a project called 50 Tons of 100 Lungs, which have allowed me to touch with 5 decades of, how many decades, Skillz? Not that many. How many decades we've been? About 3, thank you, sir. 3 decades of MCs in this city. And again, that camaraderie, the closeness, the friends that I've gained through the mixtape. I mean, in times when I go through stuff now, I've called Noah in the middle of the night. Where Noah at? Is he in here? Yeah, Noah. I done called Noah in the middle of the night, and just different individuals that I've met through the music that have assisted me even in today's struggles that I go through. And I got a therapist too. I got one too.
That's good. That's good. It's interesting you said, you know, everything is in hip hop. You talked about the drugs, the sexuality, and as like an innuendo statement, you said Jesus Christ. But shout out to like the homie Corey Goss who raps about Jesus Christ. He's like one of the people that's the balance in trying to make sure the scales don't just tip all the way on the wrong side, right? So let me ask this, AD. So you think about hip hop. My sister spoke about writing therapy. Reese just spoke about, you know, how music has helped them come through. I mean, Reese defeated crack. Nigga, it's very few people defeated crack. Like, let's be real about that. Yeah. Crack like 80 million and one, nigga. You the one, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
But we have to be vulnerable at some point, and sometimes being vulnerable in our music that we share with people is a very difficult thing to do because it's not cool. How does a person be true to themselves, and what difficulties come with being vulnerable, and how do you overcome that? What are some thought processes you can say to yourself? Nah, I'm gonna open myself up respectfully. Everything ain't everybody's business, but respectfully. And what are the difficulties and what are the barriers to stop people from doing that?
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And it's a great question. I think that, so I work I'm a professor of hip hop in the Global South at the University of Virginia. And I think the way that like something like that happened was being honest. And so I don't strive to be vulnerable. Noah was talking to me about, like, there's this essay that I wrote for Rolling Stone that will be in this book that's coming out in a couple months about my, oh, yeah, that wasn't intentional.
Thanks for that. That's
But the essay was about how I think that sometimes we're just like led to lie. I mean, I think that we are probably trying to do what pleases people. I was at an academic conference and I saw this Ab-Soul video for this song called Do Better. And the name of my book is Being Dope. And the book is actually about what it means to be an MC who wrote a rap album for a dissertation and is now, you know, like writing rap music as academic product. I believe that blackness is something like a drug to the United States of America. That like it's sanctioning and it's pathologization, the way that people like make it a crime to be black. But also it's like the most alluring thing. And so there was like, I have all of these metaphors for that when I'm talking at this academic conference, but like I just saw this video where this man is confronting very openly the fact that he did not want to be alive. That like sobriety was something that he could not face. But I don't know if you've seen the video. It's a black and white video, and like you see him falling from the sky. And then eventually a whole bunch of arms come out and grab him. And then they like pull him back. And I'm getting ready to go and give my like theories on blackness and pathology and, you know, like pharmacologics and all of this stuff. But now I'm sitting there and I'm crying because I watched this video. I've been on that ledge. I've written myself off of that ledge. I've had people who were close enough to me to grab me from off of that ledge. So do I tell the story that I wrote down that I was supposed to give to those people who paid me to come out there to give that speech? Or do I tell them about why I was just crying in my room? And the honest thing is to tell them the truth. I was just crying. And the reason that I was just crying was because I was on that ledge that Ab-Soul was on. And the reason that I'm here is because somebody like Ab-Soul was truthful enough to say that, which means that I've got to pay that truth forward. So I don't have a choice about vulnerability. That's not a choice that I get to make, because this is something that was given to me by somebody else, and I'm giving it to somebody here who is going to give it to someone else. As Skillz said, like, generosity is not just the shit that you can give people that is material. Sometimes it's telling the truth. Yeah. And if I don't tell it, then it's going to stay with me, but I don't know, like, I'm not going to be able to repress that. So I'm just trying to be honest.
The doors of the ICA is open. Is there one? So as we and that's very real, because to a point that you said, you blocked out the choice and you followed what was given to you to give. A lot of people can't do that though, right? A lot of people will still block out the choice. A lot of people will still stuff up, go in the bathroom, act like nothing happened, because they want to perceive to be something that they think the people want them to be. But it was probably more people that wanted you to be who you really were in that moment versus the contrary, or I would say something else. I wouldn't even say the contrary, but something else. To you, my sister, you think about, as you think about hip hop, and I want you to be just straight up 100 with this. The way sisters talk about themselves in hip hop, easy, their worth is not in alignment with what they're truly worth. And it makes young ladies look up to that person because they're hearing it. You look at a Sexy Red, and I'm not knocking nobody's hustle. Please be clear. Let me be clear about that. But I am saying about the mental trauma that can create, or the expectation that a little girl thinks a man wants from her, so she starts to bring on that persona. How does that make you feel, and what do you think should be done about it?
It's very frustrating. I know earlier, I think it was the first panel round that you were talking about, what's marketable and what sells. And I think obviously sex sells. So people are gonna come out half naked and just talk about sex to get the money. But I always think about the 14-year-old girls listening to that, or even 9-year-old girls listening to that, who can recite every single lyric, and they're thinking that this is it because they are impressionable and they're learning based on what they observe and what's cool. That's literally adolescence. You're trying to figure out who you are, and a lot of times you base it on what's around you or what society tells you to be. So it's very disappointing, I think, as a woman, because I'm an adult. I can listen to something and filter it and see what to take from it, but children can't. So I do think that artists should be more responsible in that sense. And yes, as a woman, I can be an adult and enjoy aspects of sexuality as well, but that doesn't have to be the only thing that you are promoting or the only thing that you are showing, because you have to be aware of your audience. And a lot of times the audience is the younger people.
That's good. I have a daughter. She's 24. And I never forget, some people know my daughter's and I's story. We were disconnected for 12 years. I was sitting at the bar at Mama J's one day, and I looked on Instagram. My daughter, after 12 years, was following me on Instagram. So I hit her up, saw her for that first Christmas. We've been reconnected for the last 8 years. That's my homie. That's my dog. Like, I love this little girl, right? I haven't talked to her mother in 20 years. So I still haven't talked to her mom since the separation has happened. But my daughter, I'll never forget, one of the first times I picked her up, my daughter cursed around me. She used profanity because, as one of the first, in the first panel, they said, while we can blame some of the artists, we also have to give some type of onus to the parents, because the parents have to hold themselves accountable to make sure the nurturing of this kid's mind is first and foremost in there. So I told my daughter, I said, don't curse around me. Now, she don't really know me. Where you been, nigga? You ain't been around for 12 years. Yeah, okay, we back together, but I don't really rock with you like that. I'm still figuring you out, right? So I told, and I got that. So I told her, don't curse around me. So she kept talking. She cursed again. Then she graduated high school. She cursed again when she was in college around me. And she goes, well, my friends' parents let them curse around them. Why you tripping? So I asked her, I said, who in your life requires you to be the best version of yourself? Is there anybody in your life that anytime you're around them, you are required to be the best version of yourself? And when I said it, it went over her head. I just went 3 weeks ago to Colorado. She's in school at University of Colorado, Denver. She just did a TED Talk. So I went to go check her out doing her TED Talk, and we were riding, and she cursed but stopped. And it was the first time I'd ever heard her stop. And we talked on the phone when I got back. And she said, did you notice that I stopped when I cursed? I said, yeah, I did notice that. It made me feel a little good. She said, I've chosen I want to be the best version of myself around you.
Oh, that's all right.
But that was her choice. That wasn't my choice, but I had to stay firm in what I believed, and I wasn't punitive when I told her. So I think putting things in perspective as it pertains to little girls, especially little girls, because women make us either value you or not. I told my daughter, my daughter, we were talking one night in the car. I'll tell y'all this quick story. I'm sorry to tell you this quick story. I invited this dude. I have an open mic called Bad Thursdays. If you ever want to come rock out with us, every first Thursday we're at Revelay. Bad as open mic, live band. I bring one of my homeboys' son to Bad Thursdays to hang out with my daughter because she had been with me all week, right? So 1 o'clock in the morning, my daughter looks at me and she goes, "Dad, I'm going to go over to Donnie's house." I said, "Nigga, when?" "Not right now. You're not about to go over to Donnie's house." She said, "Dad, you brought him for me to hang out with." I said, "Naya, I don't think it's a good idea." Wasn't a yes or no. I don't think it's a good idea. And what I told her was, and this is something that stuck, and I think I shared this with you outside, Reese. I told my daughter, I said, please keep in mind, men only show the fish that's hard to catch. Yeah. We don't show the fish that just jump on the boat. Because the fish that just jump on the boat, we don't value it. Not say it's not worth anything, we just don't value it. But the one we gotta struggle with, the one that breaks the line, we catch it again, we gotta, when we finally get that fish, that's the one we show all our friends. Because there's value in that. And I think sometimes the music makes women feel like I should just jump on the boat already naked.
The value is in their bodies. That's what they think. That's what they're led to believe. Yes, the value is in what you can do, what you look like.
So with dudes, I'm gonna put this to either one of you. With men that talk down about women in music, what are your thoughts, your feelings as it pertains? And keep in mind, the context of everything we're talking about is about community mental health. As men put this in music, as we listen to it, rock out to it, rap it, say it over and over again, what do you think should be the balance that men should play to not, or should I say to help with the healing process of what music does psychologically as to how we look at women?
So if I had to talk to an MC, I mean, I kind of look at MCs like almost like political figures. They stand for something. They have something that they believe in and strongly. But the one thing they have to realize is being a part of that party that you're in, you have so many followers. So again, a lot of the responsibility lies in the MC, the lyrics that they put in. And from the mental health standpoint, you know, some of the songs body shame. They don't make it sexy to be plus size, or you gotta be light skinned. You know, you gotta look a certain way, you know, to be accepted. And that happens a lot. They got lawsuits out here now with Facebook and some of these algorithms that we are speaking about that are pushed on our young people and just, you know, females in general. So again, a lot of it lies on the artist, because that's where it's coming from. You know, I turn on my radio, or you got to search for the good stuff. You know, like you said, it's there, but it's not in the algorithm. And Skillz, you're so right, man. Like, you really got to go and say not interested. Y'all know what I'm talking about on Instagram. Not interested, not interested. You have to do that, because if not, what you think about, what you take 3 seconds to look at, it's going to pop back up. You know, so if you're struggling, you know, trying not to look at naked women online, then stop looking at it on Facebook and Instagram, because if not, it's going to pop back up. Whatever your interest is, if you want to see people getting killed, and now that's normalized. I mean, how many of y'all have seen somebody get murdered on the internet? Raise your hand. Like, that's and that is crazy. That's ridiculous that we can talk and relate on stuff that we've seen. So I think it's in the responsibility of who's providing that information, you know, in regards to, you know, who should be responsible for that. Because I do work with clients that have self-esteem issues or feel like they should be a certain way, or females that feel like I need to look a certain way. I don't look like that. You know, the hair industry, the makeup industry, it's crazy. I mean, I see females now, they look like they in a casket. I mean, I'm being real. Like, God damn.
That's real. That's real.
And some of y'all ain't being funny. y'all don't do the matching real good, because it's like your face look one way, your neck is a whole nother color, and your hands is another color. It's like, and then I'm not being funny, y'all, like after you take off all that makeup and all of that stuff and you look at yourself, how do you feel about yourself? You know, do you still love you? You know, and that's important, and that's the things I have to be able to break down in a session or be able to talk to somebody about when it comes to that. So no, like even on my 50 Tons, 100 Lungs mixtape, if you listen to it, I don't like to hear all of that, shoot 'em up, bang, bang, you this, I'm gonna kill you, stick out. I mean, I can't deal with it, you know, so that's why I kind of stopped doing it back in 07. It got real crazy. I'm gonna just chill out on these mixtapes for a little while, and big shout out to Radio B and Mike Millions, because they kind of brought me back alive. Skillz, thank you for doing the video. That was so dope. Like when y'all talk about the mental health part of bringing me out of dark spaces and places I've been, to be able to put together a mixtape and connect with folk like Skillz, you know, Grammy nominated Noah, I mean, just Aunt Marsha, like it's an incredible feeling, and it helps build my self-esteem. Because I've been in some low spots, y'all. I mean, I don't know. How many of y'all been in a homeless shelter? How many of y'all, raise your hand. I mean, all right, so you know what it is. How many of y'all had to go to a clothes closet to get clothes a little bit too big for you? I had on some Durangos in 2004. Like, what the heck? I was walking down Hull Street like I was the man. Do you hear what I say? You know, but again, I really want to go back to that, what we was talking about. And there's a lot of MCs in here, so it's the music industry. It's who's controlling all of that stuff. Like, Sexy Red wouldn't have been a thing back in the 90s. It would have been like, what are you doing?
AD, what you got?
Yeah, so I think that I feel like I've heard this said a few times, and I sincerely hope that it's received in the way that I intended. And that is that I don't think that the hip hop of 2025 is much different from the hip hop in 1979. Okay. And what I'm saying is that, like, I feel like I can probably show you some receipts with that too. I mean, like in 1979, like you know, like if we're talking about sex, money, and drugs, like I'm saying, I feel like the Sugar Hill Gang was literally talking about doing heroin and cocaine in that song. And Hotel, Motel, Holiday Inn, if your girl starts acting up. Like, it's not like misogyny was invented by, like, current rappers or sexism. And so I want for us to also be, like, very historically adept in our analysis of what's going on. In the same way that we're talking about, like, I mean, I think that a lot of what we're saying about current music is about what capitalism has done with hip-hop and not about hip-hop culture. And those are different conversations. Because sex positive rappers existed in the 90s. Like who hasn't heard of Salt and Pepper? Now, it might not have been as shocking to you during that time period, but I imagine that like they have laid the groundwork for some of what is going on. And Sylvia Robinson was a music mogul in 1979 who decided that she wanted to steal people's money just as much as anybody wants to steal people's money currently. So I think that we have to be mindful of ahistorical arguments for the credibility of the statements that we want to make currently. If we want them to be credible, then we have to like go, you know, like show our work on that. Now, I believe like with regard to I think about argumentation in history like on the level of language, and this is not a metaphysical thing. I think that we believe that we absolutely believe that we are like sort of like scientific entities, that we are more made by language than we wish to say. Right. We are created by the language that we engage in. When someone is called a thug, or when someone is called a criminal, when someone is named a rapper in a headline, there's all kinds of baggage that goes with that because there are expectations. This is what context means. So there's no language that we get that's neutral. There's no language that we get that's neutral, which means that we have to I think, be mindful of how we listen and how we deploy language. And that's really slow work. The example that you gave about what I don't want in my space to get someone to comport to the reality that you are trying to co-create with them is a really important, but sometimes really slow. I don't ever tell students what they can't say. I do tell them what I don't appreciate. Right. I do ask them why they said the thing that they're saying. I never tell a person, you can't say nigga in my classroom. I teach at the University of Virginia, and I imagine that there are some students who have admitted to using that word, you know, like without any kind of like license to use it. But what I tell, because here's the thing, how am I going to preclude them from using the word? And that's like one of the places the word was invented. I don't have that power to tell you not to do that. What I can do is tell you what I wish to create with you in language. We're doing language with people. And I think that if we were to slow down and try to, I'm literally teaching people how to listen because I don't think that we study a whole lot on how to listen. And because we don't study on how to listen, then we also don't know how to be in language with people. And because we don't know how to be in language, like when was the last time you sat down with somebody and listened to that song that might be a truth to them? Because when somebody is twerking on a headlight at a red light, I'm saying that is a reality for some folks, and so for you to condemn that might make that person not want to be in language with you. Right. It communicates something to somebody, and that thing that is being communicated is very real. And so I think that it's incumbent on us to listen, not to cast aspersions or to tell them to not rap that way. Like there are certain rap songs that I just don't understand. It's my responsibility to learn how to understand that. Because I can't, like if drill music in Chicago is a mirror that reflects what's going on in Chicago, am I supposed to tell the person who's bleeding that the reason that I didn't stop their bleeding was because they didn't articulate how they were bleeding accurately to me? Right. What's my job? So I think that we could do a whole lot of slower listening to be in language with people.
Peace. That's, yeah. And I guess, you know, just a quick final statement, because this has been rich, man. This has been very rich. I think a way as we all go through trauma, drama, and we think about the hip hop culture and how we can influence, you know, it's all right to laugh at what's messed up about you, right? And laughing about it doesn't mean that it's not real, doesn't mean that you don't take it serious. It just means that it's joy brings me through things. Laughter gives me that balance of peace. I had a show Friday night in Portsmouth. And if anybody know anything about Portsmouth, my point exactly, right? And the show was in a shopping center. So I got a show, and the brother that put the show together, he called me at the last minute. He didn't tell me that I was filling in for a national headliner. So when I got there, I'm thinking I'm just on the show. I get there, find out I'm closing the show. These people done paid, it was sold out. These people done paid good money to see this person they thought was coming, and they're gonna be surprised when I go up there. Y'all know me, but they don't know me. You know what I mean? So I go inside. So how do I make these people like accept me as them? I can't go up here and pretend like I'm some headliner that I'm not, that's well known. I gotta go up there and be. So the first thing I said was, I said, yo, I'm from the same streets y'all from, which is true. Maybe not the same block, but the same type of street that y'all from. I said, I hate, you know, shit like y'all do. I said, I was on my way here. I got pulled over. And the cop, and the dude in the audience yelled out, where were you at? I said, I was in Hampton. He said, damn, we don't really mess with Hampton. I said, the cop pulled me over. He asked me, he was like, dog, where you going? I said, I'm going to Portsmouth. He said, where? He said, you got any weapons in the car? I said, no, I don't have any weapons in the car. He was like, nigga, take mine. What the hell you doing going to Portsmouth with a pistol, nigga? You crazy? And they laughed. But it was a moment they knew I was calling their environment hood. But they knew it to be true, but they also understood that I came in peace with that particular thing. So it's cool to respectfully laugh at what's trauma-filled, but at the same time still taking it serious about where you're trying to go with resolving those issues. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all give it up for our panelists, AD, the theme.
Thank you.
DJ Reese. And we're going to bring up our closing words from the one and only Mr. Noah.
I just want to thank y'all. I think sometimes as an artist, this is really, people ask me like, what's the most important thing to you about doing this? It's not about me rapping. This is the event that meant the most to me, because I know that the people that are intentional about showing up here, you know, really either care about themselves, the community, or, you know, just overall wellness. And to me, you know, the rapping is cool, making clothes is cool, but none of it means anything if we're not healthy, if we're not whole, you know, mentally, physically, spiritually, and all that. So give yourselves a hand for being here, for real. This really meant the most to me. Give a hand again for our panelists. If you don't know who they are, once again, we got Mr. Chuck Creekmur, AllHipHop.com, Man Skillz, Michael Bam Bam White, Lilith Rose, A.D. Carson, Mr. Maurice Morgan of New Pathways, and last but not least, Z-Bay the Poet. Can I get all y'all to come up here so we can take a group photo before we leave? And yeah, thank y'all again. Don't forget, Charged Up Fest is going on to this Sunday. We had the grand finale concert at the Broadberry. If you need tickets, I got those. And RSVP for all the other events at chargedupent.com.
Yo, shout out to everybody that's watching right now. This is being streamed. It will be filmed, so if you want to share it with anyone, please do.
Yeah, this is being live streamed, so you can watch this later as well.
Indeed. And Reese, while you here, okay, one photo. I just want to also say this: we here today because of you, man. We here today because of you, so I appreciate it. It was his birthday party that Noah was talking about that we performed at, and I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. All right, you guys ready? 3, 2, 1. One more. 3, 2, 1.
Spread the word. Charged Up Fest in effect this week.
listen to what they say. You can't take it slow. And when the night rider comes around, gotta pick up the dough. I ride low with the setting sun, miss the days with the break of the drums. It's icy. It's a rock so easily, so easily. Heartbeat on the dash, I'll be shaking you down. It's a rock so easily, so easily. I got a feeling that won't calm down. Can't do it alone. I'll take you to the fight of the line. This is where we go. Top down with the cruise control. Lights out with the radio on. It's crazy. So easily, so easily. Heartbeat on the dash, I'll be shaking you down. It's a rock so easily, so easily.
Yeah. Should I bless the track or let it breathe? Yeah. I need so I forgot to hit my knees. Yeah. Freddie Kane clocking overseas. Ice minus 4 degrees. Over these.
Jab shit, round tree. Sit your bitch on the brown tree. Niggas put real diamonds and fake ass rollies. That's clown shit. Every whip I wish it the German made over Talcott. Super dope. My geek is more meaty as Robert Townsend and pounds it. These niggas window shoppers, they browse it. Put that on BL, I put BBs in Mama Dow. They can understand it. This gangsta shit run the planet. Kept a cannon even when I was down and out. I was wild. I was wild.
I just bless the track, so let it breathe. Yeah, Anisha La forgot to hit my knees. Yeah, Freddie Kane clocking overseas. Rapper of the year, fuck the nominee.
Hardy, Corvette, I'll be chasing you down. It's a rock so easily, so easily. Heartbeat on the dash, I'll be shaking you down. It's a rock so easily. So easily.
I was in a dark, dark place, yeah. 4 feet beneath my needs and my memories. It's kinda hard to be good enough for you. Yeah. But it's even harder to be good enough for me, yeah. Or maybe it's just because my ego has been eating up my logic since the day I was born, yeah. Fucking with my workflow. I be feeling negative about the one I adored, yeah. So we've come a long way since long train rides, and I'll gladly take a slice of humble pie. With beauty's in the eye of the beholder of a lie, oh, don't you dream it? You say what's right, try do what's right, but do you really feel it? Or you say what's right, try do what's right, but do you really feel it? Or you say what's right, try do what's right, but do you really feel it? Or you say what's right, try do what's right, but do you really feel it? But grateful for some time for reflection, but I mustn't let my lens be blinded by sex. But I must admit that I love the attention. Man, if a woman wants to act dirty, that's a choice and a choice I will respect. Or maybe it's just because my ego has been eating up my logic since the day I was born, yeah. But this shit's been fucking with my workflow. Had me feeling negative about the one I adore, yeah. So we've come a long way since long train rides, and I'll gladly take a slice of humble pie. But beauty's in the eye of the beholder of a lie, oh, don't you dream it? You say what's right, try do what's right, but do you really feel it? You say what's right, try do what's right, but do you really feel it? But you say what's right, try do what's right, but do you really feel it? You say what's right, try do what's right, but do you really feel it?